Good evening and welcome to the Hamilton Report. I'm delighted that you're here with us this evening on a very, very busy week. This is not just a Democratic convention week, a historic convention on many levels. And tonight we are very happy to be welcoming our DNC committee members from right here in Oklahoma. And we're going to be talking with them about what their experiences have been like in previous conventions, as well as what we can expect this week. As you know, this broadcast is only one half an hour, so that'll give you time afterwards to get situated and get comfortable for tonight's kickoff. And again, I'm very happy that you're here. Before we get started, though, I must say a very special word of thanks to Wayne Besson, the executive director of Truth Wins Out. He was our guest last week, and the response to him, to his interview, and to his work has been just phenomenal this week. So we appreciate his work dealing with conversion therapy, or actually stopping that bad practice. He was a terrific person to have on our show, a great person to have on our side. So just wanted to say, again, thank you to Wayne Besson. Our first guest this evening is certainly no stranger to politics in Oklahoma, no stranger to you, our viewers, I'm certain. He is also quite familiar with the process of conventions. As a matter of fact, he was the last Oklahoman to take the podium at a Democratic National Convention. And here's a picture in 2008 at the DNC. And that was a very special moment of pride for Oklahomans. And we're very happy to be able to welcome him here this evening. So with that, I'd like to welcome to our program Governor David Walters. Governor Walters, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Welcome, Scott. I'm delighted to be here, and congratulations on this show. I'm just so thrilled that you're putting on such a professional presentation and informing so many good Democrats.
Well, thank you. It's been the response has been great, and as I have mentioned before, this program is in direct response to people who want to look at issues that are important to Oklahomans. And we're trying to do that in a way that educates, but also informs and entertains. And hopefully we'll have a bit of all that tonight. Obviously, this year's convention is far different. We had planned to do this particular broadcast live from Minneapolis. But this week, there's not a whole lot happening in Minneapolis, is there?
No, but there's going to be a lot happening.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking two different states, two different cities. Let's start again. Milwaukee, how's that?
Yeah, good. Well, it'd be a little cooler, although we're going to get a cool break here. The opportunity that we have, though, to enjoy really high-quality program that will broadcast our values, show so many of our exciting leaders in the national party, that gives people a chance to talk seriously about what we stand for and what our issues are and what we represent, and to draw that contrast. It's so often that we feel like we're the adults in the room. They're out all arguing about something else, and here we have this opportunity this week on 4 straight nights starting tonight to really showcase who we are as Democrats. And I'm excited about it. It's going to be very different. I've been to 6 conventions out of the 49 that have been held. I've been to 12% of them. I went from really in 1988 was my first convention in Atlanta, and my last convention was in Denver, and with the nomination of Barack Obama. So I've had a great experience. But frankly, I'm looking forward to the programming over process, if you will, that we spend a little less time with all the cacophony that is involved in a convention. We'll miss some of that excitement, although I think we're going to see that picked up on by snippets and all kinds of video clips. I think they're going to be very creative. But I do think we're going to get an opportunity to have a real content-driven, real entertaining set of programming that'll get us all excited, more excited.
One of the things that I've noticed that is different this year is that a lot of the programming is open to everyone. It's not limited to just delegates who would be in the convention city. And I think that's a good thing. It really helps to educate a lot more people. And as you point out, that's more, there's more content there than there is process.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. So many people, the invitation for open video clips, for example, and on so many different topics and for so many different events to celebrate the election and the vote and all the rest of that is going to, can you imagine the task of going through that? They probably got millions of video clips, but the volume will create a special form of excitement. And I'm anxious to see what they're doing with all those. And our national committee woman, Kalyn Free, has sent in some videos. And so I'm anxious to see how she handles her national television debut.
Well, speaking of Kalyn Free, Kalyn, I'm delighted that you're with us this evening. And yes, I saw a couple of your videos. And the one thing that you said that Oklahoma is excited and ready for Biden and Harris. Tell me your first thought last week when you learned that Kamala Harris was going to be the vice president on this ticket.
Well, thank you again. I want to just echo Governor Walter's gratitude for you, Scott, for hosting this show and making this a fixture in Oklahoma party politics. We're very, very grateful, and I'm honored and delighted to be here and to join you on the first day of this convention. And to answer your question about Senator Kamala Harris, as a Native woman, as a woman who I've known for obviously several months, like the rest of the world did, that we were going to have a female vice president. We knew that. But I was hoping and praying and fingers crossed that it would be a person of color. And having a person of color as serving as vice president, as the nominee, and I absolutely believe that she's going to be our next vice president, it's groundbreaking, it's earth shattering, it's heartwarming, it's all of those things. And I've always said when I ran the Indians list, and the reason I did that and done the work that I've always done is to bring about gender parity in not just in Oklahoma but across the country. And there is nothing more important than for little girls and for little boys to see women and to understand what this means. And I've always said that little girls cannot be what they cannot see. And next January, they will be able to see a woman become vice president of the United States, which is clearly a stepping stone to the presidency.
Well, this is the first time in our history, like you said, that this is something for young women, especially, to look at and to hang on to. We obviously had President Obama, who between he and First Lady Michelle Obama, what an incredible team of role models they were to young people. And now to have an opportunity to have another person of color in that very important position, it is exciting. And you've done some work with Senator Harris, haven't you?
Actually, I have not. I had the opportunity to meet with her when we were in California last fall, but I've not had an opportunity to work with her. However, I have followed her career. As you may know, I'm a former elected district attorney. I watched her become district attorney in California and then ascend to the attorney generalship and then on to the United States Senate. And I just had this little sneaking suspicion when I saw her being elected as DA and watching her career. I thought, you know what, someday that woman may be in the White House. And it's very, very, again, heartwarming to see not only her dreams come true, because it's not about Senator Kamala Harris. It's about what she brings and what she symbolizes to all of America.
Well, I know that both of you have been to a number of conventions, and you've had opportunities to work with Democrats around the country and become good friends with a number of those folks. In terms of what you're missing most in this being an in-person convention, what do you think you're going to miss the most?
Well, I'll say that the ruling party that is these conventions is always fun. The convention I attended in New York in 1992 that nominated Bill Clinton was particularly special. Of course, if you got to go to a convention, go as a sitting Democratic governor. That makes a big difference. And so, we wound up leasing the Honey Fits and entertaining people as we went around Manhattan and enjoyed John Kennedy's boat that was so very special. And I was the most embarrassed in New York because I had bet Ann Richards, she was governor of Texas, on the OU Texas game, and I'm afraid this was my idea that whoever lost the game would serenade the other's delegation at this convention. And I'll be damned if she didn't. Unfortunately, the Sooners stumbled, and I wound up on stage singing "The Eyes of Texas" to what looked like 10,000 Texans screaming and carrying on. And sadly, a clip of that got taken and was on the evening news back in Oklahoma. So anyway, my career was short-lived, of course, after that. But I recruited a number of great singers. Sharon Davis, I remember, Margaret Erling was up on the stage with me. And so we changed the lyrics on the second stanza that was quite critical of Texas. So we did leave the house to a chorus of boos. But just that kind of thing, the spirit of it, the excitement of it, the ability to make such great friends. And then there's nothing quite like being in that hall for the, I know it's a little archaic, but for the balloon drop and all the rest of that, those are special moments.
I wish you would have called me. I was living in New York then, and
yeah, you could have been on the honey fence.
Yes. Kalyn, what are you going to miss the most this year?
You know, when my first convention was in 2000, and I had no idea what I was about to step into when we went to California for that convention. And that was in Los Angeles. I was a sitting district attorney representing Pittsburgh and Haskell counties. And I was just, literally fresh off the turnip truck. And the first day I got there, after I had my first night at the convention, I said to myself, I'm never missing another convention. And I have been to 4 out of the last 5. I wasn't able to go in 2004 because I was on the ballot myself during that convention, but I don't intend to ever miss another convention. It is the absolutely most exciting thing I've ever done. I've been very blessed in my life to travel to lots of different countries and experience a lot of things that a lot of people don't get to. But there is absolutely nothing I would rather do than attend a Democratic National Convention. I remember vividly watching the convention, and that was when Gore, and just literally feeling the electricity in the air. It was absolutely palpable when we watched him, walking down the aisle and coming to accept the nomination, and watching Bill Clinton and watching all of that. And it was riveting. It was inspiring. It was, it's a week of no sleep but the most important thing to me is being able to see Democrats not only from all over the country that share our vision and share our passion, but also celebrate that with the Oklahoma Democrats. And it is bittersweet to be a delegate. This is my first time and Governor Walter's first time to represent Oklahoma as the Democratic National Committee man and National Committee woman, and not being able to be with our fellow delegates in person is, like I said, bittersweet. But we've done, I know you and our chairperson, our officers have worked very hard to make this very special experience for the Oklahoma delegation.
Well, it's been fun for me because it's been important to us to provide some kind of convention experience, and so we're working hard at that. Governor Walters, I want to go back a little bit with you. What are some of the more historic moments, the things that really you believe had the greatest impact on the American people that have happened in conventions of which you've been a part?
My first convention in 1988 in Atlanta was stunning because I had got to know, I'd run for governor in 1986 unsuccessfully. Mike Dukakis was chairman of the Democratic governors. We got to know each other. I went campaigning with him early up in the Northeast, and just a wonderful man. And I was just so eager to be for him. Jesse Jackson was running for the nomination at that time, and was not successful. As you know, Mike Dukakis was nominated, but Jesse Jackson's speech at that convention in Atlanta that evening in 1988 was just riveting. The problem is that the Oklahoma delegation didn't have a particularly good set of seats, and we were quite high, and the sound system reverberated just a little bit. And that was the night that Jesse gave "Keep Hope Alive." He had this cadence going of "Keep Hope Alive." By the time it got to us, it sounded like "Peep Hope Alive." And so we were all, I was turning to people saying, what is PPOPLI? I thought it might be slang or an acronym. So anyway, we missed the power of the cadence by having seats too high. But that Keep Hope Alive speech was unbelievable, and a great moment, I think, to have one of our African American leaders in the U.S. achieve prominence through that nomination battle, and kind of an early forerunner. Fast forward, I'll never forget the tears streaming down his face as he was in that Chicago park watching Obama come out for his victory speech. So it was quite a wonderful 20-year circle there.
Oh, I'll say, I think that for me, as just a Democrat watching these conventions at home, the one thing that I will always remember is the first time I heard Barack Obama speak was at a convention, and there was no doubt in my mind then that he was somebody that we were going to be seeing great things from, and I can only imagine what it would have been like to be in the room to hear him offer those words in person.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the platform this year, Kalyn, what do you see as some of the most important aspects of the party's platform as we move from 2020 into 2021?
Well, thank you for that question, Scott. And I actually reviewed the platform again last night and looked at it. And I think this is without a doubt the most robust, most progressive Democratic Party platform that we've ever had. There are many issues that speak to my heart, whether it's environmental issues or gun issues. But two things that I focused on last night were women and Native Americans, because obviously I'm a woman and I'm a Native American. I believe that when you look at our party's platform and you see that we're talking about pay equality, codifying Roe v. Wade, looking at passing the ERA, getting that passed. And I firmly believe that having Senator Harris as vice president, that we're going to achieve those. We'll absolutely achieve those goals. And not only because she's going to be, these are issues that she's passionate about, but she's going to have the platform to help us get those passed. And then from the Native American perspective, there's no doubt that this country has a legal and moral obligation to tribes in America. And there's no doubt that this country has so oftentimes failed that obligation that we have. And I don't need to focus on the history, but I have great hope. I have great hope, not just because of this party platform, but because I know who will be in the White House implementing that. And that is President Joe Biden. And when you look at what he has done in the past for Native Americans, I remember back in 1995 when I was in 95 when I was in Washington, D.C. at the United States Department of Justice. I watched then United States Senator champion the passage of the Violence Against Women Act, which is critically important for Native American tribes. Indian women are much more likely to be sexually assaulted, raped, and murdered than women of any other ethnicity. And that is, and his support of VAWA. I've been a district attorney. I've prosecuted domestic violence cases. I've prosecuted domestic violence murder cases. And when you look at the Native American platform, I mean, we've got 4 pages in there. It's talking about mandatory funding, Indian tribes. When there's a federal shutdown of the federal government, it affects Indian country more than anyone. So we've got mandatory funding. We're looking at missing and murdered Indigenous women. We're looking at VAWA issues. We're looking at the environmental issues. We're looking at the protection of sacred sites. I can go on and on and on. I am absolutely ecstatic about those 2 planks in this platform.
Wow, that's great. This is a perfect time for us to try Josh again. It looks like we've got the video portion fixed, Josh. And can I hear you?
Yeah, I mean, can we?
I can hear you now. Yay. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you, sir. I was saying a moment ago that I really have come to respect and admire you so much for the work that you do day in and day out. I've heard you at the end of a weekend be so hoarse that I didn't recognize who I was talking to on the phone because you'd been speaking and marching so much during the week. So it's with that passion, I know that you were elected to serve as Young Democrats of America president. And I'd like for you to talk about your experience this past year in serving that role and why you're looking forward to the events of this week at the convention.
Definitely. So I think that the best part of being in this position is that for me, there's oftentimes a lot of opportunities presented to me, and I'm never one that really just kind of wants to hoard those opportunities. So I've gotten to share them with so many different young people all across the country. And so the New York Times reached out to me to get a statement on the election or the primary cycle. And I was like, instead of talking to me, let's put together a list of people. And so I reached out to rural folks all across the country, and I got to have them quoted in the New York Times. And I got to see those Facebook statuses where people were talking about how they were in there. And that was just beautiful to me. I got the opportunity to get a lot of tickets for folks to go to debates, something that is really, unfortunately, kind of an exclusive activity. But I got to get a lot of young people in there, and they got to meet amazing folks, and they got to be in the room. And like, that's what it's all about for me. It has obviously not been super easy, and it has just definitely been kind of a lot. It's hard to deal with political politics in general, but during the pandemic, it's even that much harder, especially with the national organization when you have so many different communities dealing with different things. And so it's been a very interesting year. I'm excited to see what the next year holds. We just had a virtual conference this past weekend where we had over 300 young people registered from all across the country, and we had a 9-hour meeting on Sunday and a 7-hour meeting on Saturday, and they stayed on it throughout the whole thing. So like, that's a nod to their, let me acknowledge their devotion to the party, because that's a lot of time to give on a Saturday and a Sunday, and they did it happily, because they really care about this work.
Well, you're talking about issues of leadership. If they didn't have good leaders, they would not be engaged like they are. And Governor Walters, that brings me back to you. You served your time in the governor's mansion and leading the state. But why are you still so devoted to the Democratic Party, the people of Oklahoma? You could be just focusing on your business or more time at the lake, but you're not. Your leadership continues, as Josh was saying, and you keep people engaged. What motivates you to keep doing that?
Well, a lot of things. I guess I ran for governor for the right reasons, because I was just shocked by how badly Oklahoma was doing, and I wanted to have a hand in trying to change things. And so, in a short period of time, we increased in my 4 years, we increased public education funding 38%, and we passed quality jobs, and we passed bond issues, and started the fiber optic network in Oklahoma so many years ago, and we were committed to it, but it hasn't changed since then, and we've taken steps backwards. And imagine that we've got a governor now that is so beholden to a man in the White House that is just unbelievably corrupt and dishonest and not working in the best interest of the country. So it doesn't take much to motivate me, because when I realized that we're for public education, they're not. We're for healthcare for everyone, they are not. We're for a whole host of things that they work very actively against, because they're owned by special interests and owned by the big corporations, and we're just not. All you have to do is just listen to, for those of you, this is a statewide broadcast, but in CD5, Congressional District 5, look at that runoff primary between those two Republican candidates. All it is about is trying to convince us who is most slavishly devoted to the NRA. Can you believe that? A failed organization, a corrupt organization, and that's all. There's not another topic mentioned in their ads. And yet we've got Kendra Horn, who's for better jobs and infrastructure and better education and ways to somehow get a handle on this horrific pandemic that our current administration is ignoring. So it doesn't take much to motivate me, and as long as I can keep kicking and try to use some of the experience that I've gained in this process. There are not many former governors that come back and serve on the DNC. But I'm privileged to have been elected to the executive committee, and I serve there with Josh on that. Josh is there because he's, of course, president of the National Young Democrats organization. But as much as I can do, I will do. And it's just such a pleasure to be able to work with people like Josh, like Kalyn, like Alicia Andrews, like yourself, and all these other folks that serve on the Central Committee and all the many committees and activists to try to make Oklahoma a better place, because that's the bottom line. And if we don't do it, nobody is.
Tomorrow night is our roll call, and our chair, Alicia Andrews, will be doing the roll call for Oklahoma. So I'm anxious to see that and see Oklahoma represented one more time. Kalyn, I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked Governor Walters, and that is, with everything that you've got going on in your life, what motivates you to stay so committed to the Oklahoma Democratic Party?
Thank you for asking me that question. You know, I've been on the ballot twice, once successfully and once unsuccessfully. And the last time I was on the ballot was 15 years ago, and that was in 2004. And I woke up the next day and I thought, you know what? I still believe in the same things today that I believed in last night. It doesn't matter that my name's on the ballot. What matters is what's in the best interest of people in Oklahoma. And I believe that God gives us and the Creator gives us certain talents. And I'm very blessed to have been as fortunate as I have been in my legal career. That gives me the flexibility to be involved in party politics. And whatever talent I have and whatever spare time I have, I am going to get up every day and go to bed every night with one singular goal in mind, and that is to make the lives of Oklahomans and Americans better. And the only way and the best way for us to do that is to leverage our political power at the ballot box. If we have learned nothing in the last 4 years, it is simply that elections have consequences. And the consequences of the election 4 years ago has been absolutely devastating to our country, not only on domestic issues, but on the national stage. And that is why I work night and day, devoting my time to helping elect people who I know are going to build a better Oklahoma and a better America for all of us.
Well, I appreciate the leadership that each of the four of you provide, because it makes life in Oklahoma better for all of us. And for many years, I did not live in Oklahoma. And I have to say that with leaders like you all have been, there's a lot to look forward to. And so my personal debt of gratitude to each of you. And it's going to be a fun week. I hope that everyone will be tuning in to the convention every night. And thank you all again. I'm going to tell you now that I will be asking you to come back one or two at a time so we can spend more time looking at some of the programs and the pieces that are most important to you. But again, thank you, each of you, for not just what you've done, but what you are doing and what you clearly will continue to do. So thank you so much for being with us here this evening on the Hamilton Report.
Thank you.
Take care.
Well, as you can see, there are folks here in Oklahoma who are excited about the Democratic National Convention this week. And I am one of them, and I hope that you are too. We have to continue to build support in our communities to make things better for all of us, Democrat, Republican, Independent, because together we are strong. We have to prove that once again. And this week, the diversity, the history that's being made will help all of us to see clearer. The path forward is one that we can together navigate with success. Next week on our broadcast, we will be looking at the need for sentencing reform in Oklahoma, the things that are happening to our young people particularly, and the way that they are devastating individuals and families. We're going to look at ways that we can begin to change some of those laws and the way that we treat the criminal justice system here in Oklahoma. So I know that that's an important topic to many, many people, and I hope that you will join us next week right here at 7 o'clock. Please tell your friends about the Hamilton Report. And one last thing before we go. This program, as with every program of the Oklahoma Democratic Party, requires your support. And I hope that you will take a moment to go to our website Look at all the convention-related events this week. And while you're there, please, please make a contribution to make Oklahoma better by supporting the Oklahoma Democratic Party. okdemocrats.org. Until next week, thank you again for being with us. Hope that you've enjoyed our broadcast. I've enjoyed being here with you. Take good care of yourself, and we will see you again next week.